Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And here with me today, I have a diamond in the rough I'd like you guys to meet. His name is Kendrick Milford. He is an edge rusher out of Indiana State. Nice to have you today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So, bro, you've had a very interesting journey. Have attended a couple different universities and obviously playing in a very competitive conference against top competition and perhaps an edge rusher that I feel a lot of scouts really need to know. And bro, I'd like to know more about your story. So let's go ahead and get started. So introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
Well, I'm Kendrick Milford. I was originally born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's where I spent my whole life. Played high school at La Cueva. Played a little bit of rugby in high school as well, football. Came from a basketball family, really. Both my parents played Division I basketball. I have an older brother and sister. They both played basketball in high school, won state championships, went on to play basketball in college. Um,
Nice.
So it's always something I was like, I grew up playing basketball, but I always wanted to play football. Um, so eventually they let me do it. I think in middle school, I started playing football and it just fell in love with the sport. So that was fun. But I ended up going to Eastern New Mexico University. Um, went there. I had offers to like West Texas A&M, I believe, out of high school, Western New Mexico, New Mexico Highlands, and just felt like I fit in at Eastern New Mexico the best. Um, played there for at 2019, played my freshman year, and then COVID hit, so that was interesting. And actually, during COVID, my family moved to Houston, so that was interesting. Just my dad's job took our family out there to Houston.
Yeah, yeah.
So moving during the pandemic, going to a whole different state, and then coming back to New Mexico is it was a lot of fun. So yeah, and then yeah, transferred. I wanted to transfer. Honestly, my goal with transferring was to get closer to home, probably a school in Texas or maybe Louisiana, just somewhere closer to Houston, to play at a higher level, possibly. Ended up in Oklahoma. Um, I like the school SWASU is what they call them, Southwestern Oklahoma State, and graduated and got my degree. And things didn't really go, as planned. We went 0-11 that year, so it was a rough year, but um, definitely learned some valuable things and got my degree, so that's important. And I have one more year left, so I put my name in the transfer portal, and the Indiana State picked me up. So that was something that I was really grateful for sure.
Great. So, obviously bringing us up to speed as to today, and just to kind of backtrack a little bit again, just to repeat some of the things that you had just mentioned. Coming from a basketball family, although really chose to pursue football, um, La Cuerva High School is where we begin our journeys. Where actually you won a state rugby title. Take us back there to your high school days at La Cuerva. With you either playing rugby or playing football, give me one of your best memories.
Man, so I would say my best memories, on and off the field. I know. So the rugby coach and the football coach, they didn't really like each other because the rugby coach would take some of the track athletes. The football coaches wanted to do track and field, and some of the guys went and did rugby. And it's rugby and track. They happened during the same season,
Hmm.
so they didn't like each other too much, but it was a lot of fun. I think some of the best memories. I won a state championship in both rugby and football. Rugby was my sophomore year, and then we won the state championship my senior year for football.
Nice.
But just playing rugby with some of the same guys that you play football with, um, you just get that real tight bond with them, and you're with them so much, and you really get to know each other and build that. I think that's what helped us win a championship later on in football was having those guys, knowing what it felt like to win and what it took to win a state championship in rugby, and kind of applying some of those concepts to the football field as well. So just that real strong team chemistry.
One thing that I think I'm always curious about is the game of rugby and the game of football are very similar. And the one knock sometimes that you get from rugby players is that football players might be a little too soft. Because rugby they're out there with less padding. Let's just say that much. Um, what do you have to add to that comment?
I I don't think so. I think you hit a lot harder in football because you have more padding. That's what I've noticed, and that's what I've experienced. Rugby's definitely it's safer than football. I don't think I saw a single concussion playing rugby, and I've seen dozens of concussions playing football. Um, but I mean, they're both so much fun to play. I love both the sports.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what happens is you learn how to tackle safely when you're playing rugby because you don't have that helmet, and so you learn more of like a gator roll, so to speak, when it comes to tackling, which is really the better way of doing it. Like you really don't want to like lead with your helmet because I mean, like you said, I mean that causes more concussions, and so for what it's worth, I mean, I think that having the background of rugby, really does help. It really does help, kind of give a better picture as to a guy who really understands like how to tackle effectively and keep himself safe. So kudos to you for at least having that as part of your athletic background. I think that that's awesome. Cool. So again, bounced around to a couple of different schools, Eastern New Mexico, SWAZU, as you said it, Southwestern Oklahoma State. Trying to get a little bit back to home, it's very difficult with everything that you were bouncing around at. But also, just kind of want to, hear you talk about, hey, perhaps the different defenses that you've been a part of, and how you were utilized over the years. Because I mean, obviously you're playing with different coaches. You're asked to maybe perhaps do different things. How would you describe those differences in those, through those different systems?
That's Yeah. So actually, at Eastern New Mexico, I liked the scheme was very similar to what we did in high school. It was a four down front, your field end, boundary end, nose tackle, and your three technique. I usually really played the field end more so in high school. I just played both sides. They just said line up here, and I just went. More so played the field at Eastern New Mexico. Um, so it's, I fit in with I was really familiar with how the defense worked, so I was able to kind of jump in and just go with it. It was easy to learn, and uh, got some production out of it, especially my sophomore year there, as I just learned and grew as a football player. And at SWASU, it was a four down front, but it was mostly a crush front. So it's the D line is not so much you're not so much holding the edge as a defensive end or edge player. You're kind of more responsible for the B gap, trying to crush everything in and force it out to your um, overhang players. So that was new, and it definitely brought a new like aspect of physicality to like a four down front that I hadn't seen before. Um, but you don't really. I didn't get as much production in it with the run game and whatnot. Still had opportunities to go pass rush and get after the quarterback, which I love doing. Um, but at Indiana State, it's a short front. Still four down. Stand up some, playing now and more into the boundary at Indiana State as opposed to the field. Standing up, being in a stance, reading things, kind of sometimes dropping into coverage or reading the offensive line, scraping, kind of like a outside linebacker playing up on the line, really. And it's a lot of fun, and I feel like it's the system that I've actually fit in the best with. I've gotten the most production out of it. I love, it's complex, but it flows very well. And I just, I really like it a lot.
Well, again, just trying to understand more about you as an athlete, as a prospect. So, Kendrick, let's start with your current height and weight. Can you drop that real quick for the listeners, the watchers?
Yeah, 6'4" and 240.
So 6'4", 240 puts you in a spot where, depending on who you ask, you might be a little bit of a tweener. Maybe a guy that could play outside linebacker at the next level. Like, I don't know. Is that something that perhaps you've heard? I mean, I'm just trying to get a feeling for like maybe how you project yourself at the next level.
Yeah, I think definitely putting on some weight would help my case in any situation. But I definitely think fitting in as an outside linebacker, edge rusher, would probably be you know something that I kind of see myself doing potentially at the next level.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, that's fair. So, maybe perhaps seeing you as like a 3, 4 edge rusher at the next level. But again, a lot of your experience is with a four down front, and so I mean, I think it's helpful to see you as such. How are you doing as a guy who maybe perhaps isn't asked too often to drop into coverage? Like, how do you work through that? Like, how are you trying to make yourself better at doing that as a prospect?
That's something that yeah, it doesn't happen too often. So when it does, you really got to take advantage of it because I feel like I'm a lot better at getting at the quarterback than I am dropping into coverage. So if whether that's covering a running back flare or dropping to the flats or some making sure I know who I'm covering, what I'm dealing with, the zone that I have. Not too much man on man. I think just understanding my assignment, I guess, my zone. Um, yeah, it's exciting when you get to do it, but it's
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, again, I'm just saying that it isn't something that you do regularly, and
yeah.
so your best attribute is that of a pass rusher. So it's just one of those things where whenever you have the opportunity, you really need to you know you really need to take it because you very rarely get those opportunities. What about perhaps your attitude, your experience in special teams? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit there along your overall experience and approach?
Yeah, so special teams is actually what got me on the field my freshman year. I was a PAT wing. I kind of made the joke with my coach. I was all American PAT wing, just
Yeah.
stepping down, making no one comes off that edge. Um, so that was originally what got me on the field to start my college career, and then found myself on kick return a lot of the time, mostly on the front line, just dropping back, turn around, finding someone to block and get out the way. I practiced being on the punch shield a little bit. Never really took reps in game with that, but understanding the protection of the punch shield and different, if he rugby kicks it out this way or if he's just sitting back there and punting it, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a little bit different of a role than perhaps you're used to as a guy who's part of the shield there, because of course, you're always trying to attack, not
Yeah.
really defend. So, a lot different. But certainly, I mean, hey, special teams is where people get their first shot, oftentimes, and so you got to take those opportunities when you have them. So, um, let's continue to talk about you and your overall history. And buddy, like when I look at a player like you, oftentimes people will have this criticism and they will say, we're looking at a small school guy. And so I gotta throw this at you and I gotta bounce it off of you because it's one of these criticisms that we get a lot. When you hear that term, he's just a small school guy. Why what do you get out of that, man? I mean, what do you got to say to the doubters about you and your overall ability?
I don't think it really affects me too much. I think if anything, it kind of gets me excited a little bit, like almost like a David Goliath situation, like yeah, like I did come from a small school, like I was a recruit out of New Mexico. Like not many people come out of New Mexico and make it to play college, so I think that's always kind of been something, I've heard it a lot, in high school, like, oh, you can't, maybe you don't make it to college, maybe you don't, this, that. So I think I kind of accepted it, I it's something that I'm almost proud to be, small school guy. If that's in the cards for me to play at the next level, yeah, it's a light for other people at small schools that like, hey, it's not your career doesn't have to end there at a small school. It's
No,
so
no, no. I mean, again, that's not what I'm saying. And certainly every single season, there are small school guys that make it, that shock the world and end up getting drafted, going on to the NFL. It's just embracing the underdog mentality, I think, is has really been a part of you and your journey. And so, like you said, I mean, you've worked your way up from a D2 talent to a D1 talent, and you're going up against the best of them. And so, you've battled through things a lot throughout your journey, and perhaps we always get a sense for a person's character as to how they respond to that adversity. Just want to get your thoughts on that. Maybe perhaps if you have any like specific things to answer on that part, like as to you and your journey overall.
yeah. One a coach told me once, life's not about plan A, it's about how you handle plan B. No one's plan A is to go. I mean, for me, it wasn't to go Division II. I always wanted to, go to the Alabamas, the Georgias, but when life doesn't go according to plan, it definitely teaches you things and you learn things. You meet people, um, and I think you come out a better, stronger person than if you would have had an easier path. I'm not saying that every path is easy. Everyone's path is different, but I think I've learned a lot more, and I've been able to see more things and really take a step back and be like, this has helped me more so than I feel if I just went straight to if I just straight went to Indiana State out of high school. I don't know if I would be the same person that I am had I not been to Eastern New Mexico and Southwestern Oklahoma.
Yeah, and let's talk about that even more, man, because I know that there have been coaches and teammates that have kind of helped you along this journey. So let's first start there with some of your teammates. Most impressive teammates that you've had over your journey, man. Give me like a quick handful.
The first name that comes to mind is Mason Richards. I played with him at Eastern New Mexico. He transferred before me and ended up at North Texas and balled out at North Texas. We still keep in contact. I love that guy. And man, there's a bunch of guys. Keelan Ferdinand, he was a defensive tackle. Um, Wyatt Strand, he was the quarterback at Eastern New Mexico my freshman year. Paul Terry, running back there. At SWASU, RJ Powell, he's a guy that was just an absolute monster playing on the other side at defensive end. We had some great linebackers there. Logan Monroe, um, D tackles, Johnny Scales, Cam. Just honestly, there's a lot of guys that I've seen, um, playing football. Like they're really like it. That's why they're in college football. They're really good. So
I mean, definitely some talented people that you've played with over the years. Along with those people, and maybe even perhaps some of the people in your personal life, your friends, your family, who has been the most influential person for you along this athletic journey of yours?
man, I think my dad, really, he inspired me to never give up my dream of playing Division I football. Um, as you know, he played basketball. He went to Azusa Pacific in college, and it was a small school out in California. Um, was he felt like he could play at a higher level. He just always knew that he could. He's like, I can play with these D1 guys. Like I can do that. And he transferred and he walked on at the University of New Mexico and earned his scholarship there and playing Division I college basketball. And so I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. But I think that was really the inspiration, going in and playing Division II, and just like I know like I can play Division I. And he was really the one. He's like, dude, you can play Division I. I'm like, when you're coming in your freshman, you're like, wow, like I earned a scholarship. You're proud of that, and it is something to be proud of. But knowing that, you have someone that believes in you and that they've done it before and they know that you can do it too, and they truly believe in you. That's something that really helped me and inspired me along this journey.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a testament to a lot of people's journey, where going to a smaller school is fine, and I think sometimes that is hard for people to really um, accept. But it's fine to go that route because I mean there are guys that have an opportunity to transfer, and even if they stick where they're at, there if you're good enough, the NFL will find you, and we know that for certain. So Kendrick been a part of a lot of these great teams, had a lot of great moments. Real quick, can you just give me your favorite memory so far? Maybe perhaps your favorite sack.
Oh man, my favorite sack. That's a tough one because they're all awesome. I think it would probably be my first one, at Eastern New Mexico. We were playing. Oh man, it was a school up in Colorado. I forget the name, but I came around and used a ghost move. Actually, the tackle, he had this back arm club and he was knocking dudes out all game with it. Knocking us down. And like I didn't even know it was called the ghost move at that time. I was like, what if I just duck underneath it and dodge his punch? And so I did that and I ran around. I like tackled the quarterback. I was like, oh my gosh, like that was my first sack at college. That was, that was awesome. And I was like, I have to get more of these. So I think that's kind of where it all started.
Well, you just kind of gave a little tidbit to some of your opponents. Let's hope they're not watching so that they get that
Oh,
little tidbit. But hey, it's okay.
it's
No,
good.
it's okay. Here's hoping you're able to get some more before this season's done. Kendrick, I do want to get a chance to meet you outside of the game of football, and maybe perhaps I don't know, get into that brain as to what makes it tick, what you're into, your hobbies, your interests. So tell me something about yourself, man. If you have any fun facts, special hidden talents or something, uh, give us a little something to work with.
Man. I love audio systems. Actually, I'm real big into. It started out in car audio, those big, throwing huge subwoofers in your car and building outdoor speakers and stuff. And it actually evolved into getting into like home theaters, building those out, and
Cool.
like a lot of home audio PA systems. I love like so. I got my bachelor's in exercise science. I worked at a gym in Oklahoma while I was at SWASU, and I built the sound system in the gym that I worked at. For all the athletes. It's a lot of fun. I have a big system in my car. All my teammates, they think it's too loud. Um, you know, helped put a home theater in my uncle's house. But that's something that I love doing is just working with different audio systems and stuff like that. It's a lot
Gotcha.
of fun for me.
Let me feed off of that real quick and ask you, obviously you got loud music in the car, so what are you listening to?
Oh man, everything. I'm a big metalhead actually. Love from the classics to more new school metal. But I'll listen to really everything. If there's something hot that's coming out, hip hop, country, uh, classical music. It's really just anything. As long as it sounds good, I'll listen to it. But really, really a big metalhead.
So I guess we're listening to like Metallica or something in the car. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. But hey, it's okay. I mean, to each their own, of course. With some of them sound systems, like you try and put things together where you can like watch like like a huge like movie. Like you got like projectors and stuff going on, or how's that work?
Yeah, so yeah, using like projectors and like the way that surround sound works, you know your front three um, channels, your overheads, your surrounds, your rears, and then
Right.
I was a big bass head, so I love getting into subwoofers and stuff. That's my favorite part is bass. You have to have clear mids, highs, and everything, but yeah, so we do have a projector back home, and the whole 9 yards with the speakers above you and around you, and yeah,
What
it's a
would you
lot of
say is
fun.
maybe like your most recommended movie to watch in that fashion? Because like I think of things like Star Wars where like you have like all the crazy sounds like going everywhere. But what is that for you, man? I mean, when you're like watching something with that type of setup.
I think the best movie, in my opinion, is always Transformers. I think their sound technician with that whole series is next level. I think it like paved the path for DTSX, Atmos, all that stuff. It's crazy. Love
Definitely
those
going
the
on
sound in.
in those movies, like with uh all of the special effects, sound, and everything. So definitely fun to watch. Um, Kendrick, we are getting up there in time, so I do want to wrap things up. For people interested in maybe perhaps following you, I know that they can find you on social media, but drop your social media real quick, man. Like if somebody needs you to help them set up their sound system.
Yeah. My Twitter or my X account is just at Kendrick Milford, and then my Instagram is at ktrain_Kenny_.
Great. K Train. It's easy for me to remember. Well, K Train, know that there's some scouts that, they're always here and there watching, your games. And as we wrap things up, I want you to, look into that camera for the laptop and look directly into the eyes of all the scouts out there who may be watching this video and tell them why you would make a great addition to their team. So, in with your final thoughts and your pitch.
Man, I think man, that's a good one. Just the relentless pursuit and uh, desire to play at the next level, never giving up, and always pushing 100%, no matter the circumstances. Always giving it my all, having a creative persistence of achieving my dreams.
Yeah, and just to kind of follow suit with that, I mean, of course, faced with a lot of adversity, moving from within different systems, learning new systems, getting new opportunities, having to earn your shot. It, as often as you have, and earning that starting role, and being able to work up from a D2 to a D1 player, and performing at a high level, and obviously making great plays. So and I even go back to like your rugby background. I mean, for what it's worth, I do think it really helps you, as an athlete. Being a well-disciplined tackler is hard to come by these days, and having that as part of your history, I think really helps. So. But Kendrick, want to wish you all the best and appreciate you and your time, and want to wish you the best of luck for the remaining games this season. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Once again, I got with me Kendrick Milford. He is an edge rusher out of Indiana State. Check him out.